You've probably called yourself lazy on a day when you were actually burned out. And that mislabel isn't harmless. It's one of the reasons burnout keeps getting worse instead of better. In this video, we're going to break down the real difference between laziness and burnout, why your brain confuses the two, and how misdiagnosing yourself is quietly making recovery harder. Most people treat lazy and burned out as the same problem with different names. Push harder, get disciplined, stop making excuses. But neuroscience and psychology draw a sharp line between them, and mixing them up leads you to treat the wrong problem entirely. Here's the core distinction. Laziness is a motivation problem. Your brain has the capacity to act, but it's choosing not to, usually because the task feels unrewarding or the effort feels disproportionate to the payoff. Burnout is a capacity problem. Your brain and body have run out of the resources needed to act at all, regardless of how motivated you try to be. That difference matters enormously because the fix for each one is almost opposite. If you're lazy, the fix is usually structure. Smaller tasks, better incentives, removing friction. If you're burned out, that same advice makes things worse. You can't structure your way out of a depleted nervous system. Pushing harder on an empty tank doesn't produce more output. It produces more depletion. So how do you actually tell the difference? The first signal is your relationship with rest. When you're lazy, rest usually feels good and restores you quickly. You take a break, you feel recharged, you're ready to go again. When you're burned out, rest doesn't restore you the same way. You can sleep 8 hours, take a weekend off, and still wake up feeling just as depleted. That's a critical sign your body isn't dealing with low motivation. It's dealing with a resource deficit that a single break can't fix. The second signal is emotional tone. Laziness often comes with mild guilt, but it's usually manageable, a background hum of, "I should probably do this." Burnout comes with something heavier: numbness, irritability, a sense of dread even toward things you used to enjoy. If tasks that once felt neutral now feel emotionally exhausting just to think about, that's not a discipline problem. That's your nervous system signaling overload. The third signal is how long the pattern has lasted. Laziness tends to be situational. You're avoiding one specific task or one specific day. Burnout is cumulative. It builds over weeks or months of sustained output without adequate recovery, and it doesn't lift just because you finally get one good night's sleep. Here's why this distinction gets missed so often. Modern productivity culture treats almost all inaction as a discipline failure. So when someone is burned out, their first instinct, and often the advice they get from others, is to push harder, build better habits, try a new productivity system. But you cannot discipline your way out of depletion. Trying to do so usually deepens the burnout because you're spending resources you don't have, which pushes you further into deficit. This is why burnout can look like laziness from the outside and even feel like laziness from the inside. The self-criticism sounds the same. Why can't I just do this? But the underlying cause is completely different. One is a brain conserving energy for a low-value task. The other is a brain and body in genuine deficit, trying to protect you from further depletion by making action feel impossible. So what actually helps if you're burned out, not lazy? The first step is dropping the discipline framing entirely. You're not weak-willed. Forcing yourself to push through with more willpower treats a resource problem as a motivation problem, and that mismatch is exactly why nothing seems to work. The second step is protecting recovery like it's non-negotiable, not optional. This isn't about one lazy Sunday. It's about consistently reducing output enough that your nervous system actually gets to recover, which often takes longer than people expect, sometimes weeks, not days. The third step is distinguishing between rest that restores you and rest that just distracts you. Passive scrolling often doesn't restore a depleted nervous system the way genuine downtime, low stimulation activity, or actual disengagement from obligations does. Burnout recovery isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing less input, not just less output. And the fourth step is tracking the pattern over time, not judging a single day. If you're consistently exhausted for weeks despite adequate sleep, that's not a willpower issue you can fix with a better morning routine. That's a signal your capacity has been running in deficit for too long and needs an actual reduction in demand, not another system to optimize around it. The bigger point here is this. Laziness and burnout can look identical from the outside. Same avoidance, same missed deadlines, same guilt. But treating burnout like laziness doesn't just fail to help. It actively makes things worse because you keep spending resources you don't have, using a strategy built for a completely different problem. So next time you catch yourself thinking, "I'm just being lazy," check the signals first. How does rest feel? How long has this been going on? Is this one task you're avoiding, or is everything starting to feel like too much? The answer changes what you actually need, and pushing harder is rarely it. If this helped you see the difference more clearly, subscribe to One Step Simpler for more habits like this. And if it helped, leave a like so more people can find it.